iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.
My name is Eden Espinosa, and I'm playing Tamara de Lempicka in Lempicka. Tamara is discovering herself through her art in a world that has been taken away from her, and she has to start fresh and provide for her family. And she's discovering new things that influence her art, and she's trying to make a name for herself in a world that tells her she doesn't belong.
Yes. In real life, Tamar met Rafaela and painted her portrait 7 times in 1 year. So to say that Rafaela had a great effect on Tamara would probably be an understatement. There's no real written history about how they met or what their true relationship was. I think we know, but to me, it's just really cool to be able to play a woman, full-bodied, four-dimensional, bold, unapologetic, who in a way changed the world because Tamara's paintings changed the way we look at women on canvas. So Rafaela was a part of that. I know it's called Lempicka, but it wouldn't be a Lempicka without a Rafaela. So this is really my musical. Come to see my musical. It's called Lempicka, but it's really Rafaela. Because, no, seriously, but she is the muse, and we couldn't have art without those muses. And so, yes, I am the musical.
When Lempicka moved to Paris after having to leave Poland and Russia because of the Bolshevik Revolution, she set up in Paris, and there was a place in Montmartre where young artists would go and paint outside and hope someone would buy their work. And we're strolling down there because my husband, the Baron, had a thing for discovering new artists. This is a true story. And he saw her work, and I was like, meh. But he gave her your card and asked her to study with Marinetti, who was a very famous art teacher who went on to have a crazy life. And so I believe it was the Baron who started her career.
Mm-hmm. And later on, we get very involved in her life, and,
Yes.
and as a patron of her art, he introduced her to a lot of the art world in Paris, and then she became one of the world's leading artists at the time.
My name is Natalie Joy Johnson, and I play Susie Solador, who becomes kind of a pal of Lempicka's and is a pal of her girlfriend Rafaela, and who creates a fun queer club in Paris where we find the ladies.
I am Tamara's daughter, and my character shows a lot of insight about how Tamara's relationship was with her child.
Yeah, I'm Andrew Szymanski. I play Tadeusz Lempicki in Lempicka, and I play Tamara de Lempicka's husband. And they had a very complicated marriage, but basically they escape the Bolshevik Revolution and go to Paris destitute, and she teaches herself to paint, and I'm kind of a man of his time, not ready to change with the world as her wife is, and he has a kind of a lot to learn to kind of pull himself together and be a partner to his wife, and it's a complicated marriage, as most are, but this might be a little more than usual, so they're real characters, and that's thrilling. They're flawed, they're wonderful, they're empathetic.
I'm George Aboud, and I play Marinetti. And Marinetti was another real-life character. That's interesting thing I think is different than a lot of shows is these are all real people from history. And Marinetti was a painter, he was a philosopher, he was a poet, he was a madman, he was a revolutionary. And he functions in the play as Lempicka's art teacher and then her sparring partner. And he really is, through the play, challenges her. He says, show me something I've never seen. He says, don't show me this old way of doing things. Don't paint this old stuff. He said, show me who you are. Show me Lempicka. That's what I want. That's the art I want. And yeah,
If I can interject, one of your lines that you have that I actually really love
Don't say it'll be cut.
is when he's like, what are you trying to do? And she goes, I'm just trying to be, faithful to my subject. And what Marinetti says is, screw your subject. What you need to be faithful to is your eye, is to your point of view. It's not necessarily, about the person that you're painting. What can you bring to that painting that is uniquely you?
Isn't that so funny? You forget all your lines. And then I was like, is that my line?
It is.
And it launches into the first, what's it, the credo, her mission, her idea. A painting is not a woman. A painting is a flat surface of canvas covered with paint. That's all it is. But on top of that, you can fill it with all that you envision for the world can be. And then we look, and then you're like, oh, I can fill up space too. Oh, I can be vibrant. I can be myself.
Raja and I met in 2017 as we were gearing up for the first production at or first reading at Williamstown. And Raja said to Matt and Carson, and the writers and I, this one word that I had never heard of, and it was épaulement. And I said, what is that? And he said, shouldering. And I'm going to hand it to you to talk about what that means.
Well, so it was something that I noticed in a book. You had slid a book across the table, perhaps maybe the same book that Carson loves sliding across tables. But I slid the book across the table, and I'm looking at it, and this is what I saw in the portraits and in the paintings of Tamara, is that every body in the image was in épaulement, was somehow like in contrapposto, somehow they were twisted and just given the longest line of the body. And that to me was the impetus for any kind of movement, any kind of staging, and also sort of a feeling. I keep asking everyone to do it, like try it on. Will you try it on? Will you do it? Yeah, like see, it's amazing what it does. Like it changes the chemical, everything changes when you do it. And that is for me the engine of creating choreography, and also I feel like the engine of our collaboration.
Yes, totally. From that one word, it was like clear what the production needed to look like. And in many ways, it feels like we've just spent the past 5-7 years just like finding itself. And I think she's here.
Yeah, even the stairs, the stairs they're not directly down. The stairs are giving épaulement. The stairs go this way and down, or they wrap around. That's épaulement in a stair.
Yeah, I'm going to start by just talking about how we write a song together, which is how we wrote this whole show together. And we talk about what the moment is going to be, what we're looking for, what has to happen. And then I go away and I write a bunch of what we're calling lyrical content. And it's kind of channeling the characters and what the person is feeling at this moment in a poetic language that has singable vowels and things that Matt has been teaching me about over the years. And I often have a thing that I think is the chorus, and I am often wrong. And I hand them over to Matt, and he picks out, this is verse, this is chorus, I need 2 more of these, and we build it together. You ready?
Yeah, I think you want to work with people who make you think in a little bit of a different way. And Carson and I, though we actually feel, I think, very, very in sync about the universe in many ways, we think differently. And it's been a thrilling opportunity to push against what I know how to do. And I think what Carson knows how to do. It forces both of us out of our comfort zones. And that's where a good musical wants to live. Otherwise, it's too easy. It's too pat. And this musical is complicated and epic, I think, because of the push and pull.
This has been a joy. I've known Matt Gould, our composer, since 2013. I've worked on every professional show of his in New York City, and I would follow him to the ends of the earth. And he's the reason I'm here. Like, there was no casting director. Like, he called me and said, come see my show at Williamstown, and I was already there, and I came and saw it, and he said, come audition. And, like, that's literally why I'm here, because of my love for him, my dedication and devotion to him, and how much he sees me, understands me, listens to me, challenges me, writes songs that are way too high, and I say, take that down a third, you're acting crazy. But it feels good to do what you love with people you love. And so I'm really blessed to be here.
I don't have a talent for drawing or painting, but I have enjoyed it just as a hobby for fun. Not painting like her, but I would sometimes buy canvases and a bunch of paints and just create for the sake of creating. During the pandemic, I did as well. So I do have artistic abilities, but to do something like she does, that's not in me.
I mean, 100 years later, Madonna is using her artwork, in her music videos, and is using her artwork now in the tour that she's doing now. There are giant projections of huge Lempickas in Madonna's work. And I know you probably noticed, but, there are little shout-outs to Madonna in this piece as well, with, like, the cone bras and all of that. It's just, we wouldn't have Madonna if we didn't have Lempicka.
It's been really cool. I love the cast, and they've all just been so accepting and so welcoming, and it's really like a family.
Eden is, she's just one of those people that is so real and so humble, but really commands, like, I think, the stage, but life too. She's thoughtful. I mean, she's just a perfect leader for our group to just have a really loving vibe to our company, and she's a dear friend, and we have a blast together, even though our material is so complicated and kind of heart-wrenching at times. She makes it really easy because her heart is open, and it allows other actors to open theirs. So we're all very grateful that she's leading our group.
Rachel and Raja and Carson and this incredible cast, like, everybody's just excellent, and everybody's like operating at the highest level of excellence. And so you come to work knowing iron is sharpening iron, and I was like, okay, we're all doing it, let's go. Like, even tonight, when I was done and Eden was done, we're standing on the side and we're screaming and cheering because we know how hard it is for this ensemble out here sweating, working their behinds off. We couldn't do it without them, they couldn't do it without us. It's a group effort. It takes all of us. So it just feels really good to have that kind of support when we're doing something so epic.
I think 14 years ago, we thought, oh, maybe we'll get a production in 4 or 5 years. I say this sometimes, like when we started this piece, George W. Bush was president. You just made a face like, what? Who was that? I know you know, but I didn't have kids. Like, we were living in different places. It just, the amount of life that has gone by. It's profound to get to share what is ultimately like a marriage. Because that's what co-writers are. We are married, and we have a baby, and her name is Lempicka, and our little girl is all grown up at 14. She's really smart, and so she skipped a few grades, turns out, but she's going off to college, and it's deep for parents to watch their kid doing her own thing, and it's profound and beautiful.
And yeah, just to pick up on something Matt said earlier, before Matt and I worked together, I am a writer who often deals with people who are keeping emotion at bay with language, and often my plays are people who are refusing to go into the emotion and are keeping themselves safe in various ways, and at some point that cracks open and everything flows out and then is repressed again, because this is the world I know. And Matt taught me that music is heart and singing is heart, and that pushing me out of my comfort zone, that is the main place, is having to really live in those big emotions in a way that I have not done as a writer, because there is this thing called language that can keep emotion over here. But when language is put to music, you are in heart. And it's such a different thing.
This creative team in particular is very collaborative, and it is it's an honor to be trusted so completely by your creative team that listens to you, that wants to hear your ideas and your thoughts, that takes them and sometimes doesn't, but is willing to listen to them. Rachel and Raja are very collaborative, and they set a tone for the room. And it sometimes takes some getting used to, because a lot of times we're used to being told what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And so you have to be like, oh, I get to just try things. Oh, great. Like, I get to take big swings and fail, and, and that is, that just helps you expand as a human and as an artist. And so it has been a privilege and an honor to work with them to bring this iteration at this time to this audience.
It's fascinating, when you're working with Rachel Chavkin and all the creatives. It's not just like a history story. And then she moved, it's all elevated in a modern way, a modern sensibility that makes it even more fascinating and interesting and sexy, because you wouldn't really think, oh, let's hear a musical about Lempicka. It's on fire sexy. And I just think it's so unique and singular in its storytelling approach, and that's thanks to all the creatives and Rachel's leading the top, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I'll just mention that I'm really excited for Carson Kreitzer and Matt Gould to make their Broadway debuts with the show. It really is extraordinary. I'm excited for audiences to experience their work because it is worthy of a wonderful night of the theater.
Absolutely.
I'm excited for audience to take away themes about time and how we are able to preserve one moment. Tamara did that with her paintings, and how do we do that ourselves?
I just don't think anyone's seen anything like this on Broadway. I mean, it is in your face. It's epic. It's soaring, but it's really actually quite intimate and real. So I don't know. I don't think people are aware of what they're going to get themselves into when they come to this show. No one. It's like, Lempicka, what is it? And I think that's the perfect way to come to the show. Sit in the seat and go, what's about to happen? And boom, like, it's gonna be cool.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz.